So I don't plan out my episodes. A couple of people have asked if I kind of do a theme each week and whatnot. And aside from trying to find some winners and some fades and some edges and whatnot, trying to make you guys some money, I really don't. I don't plan anything out. And so just, in terms of like a weekly outlook, I don't try and find some linear connection from episode to episode. However, this week it kind of came about. As I started this week, I started with self-care and how important it was on Monday. And in this instance, it just kind of happened. A lot of what self-care revolves around, in my opinion, is really increasing the positivity, increasing the things that make you happy in your life, and trying to eliminate things that kind of bring you down, kind of shield you from all of the negativity, which is extremely challenging at times, especially right now. But tomorrow for me brings up a lot of negativity, not only on the level of what happened in the country and it marking the 1 year mark since it happened, but also on a very personal level. It really stirs up a lot of negative things. And long story short, I essentially lost my dad 1 year ago. Over the last 2 years, a lot of families have been torn apart. They've been looking at each other sideways, and a lot of people have had to come to the realization that members of their own family are quote unquote one of them. And my parents are no exception, really. And the only thing I'll say, as I will not be going on social media. Speaking of that, I hope you enjoyed my most recent post on my Instagram page. We'll go over that in just a second. But, um, 1 year since the terrorist attack, and we need to stop classifying it as an insurrection or a siege. It was a failed coup, and every coup is an act of terrorism. It was a terrorist attack. I understand that a lot of people in this country have a hard time with that phrase simply because coups of governments happen elsewhere. They happen in quote unquote third world countries, and the harsh realities that we've had to come to over the last 2 years is, in a lot of ways, America is a third world country. And it's time to stop mislabeling it. It's time to stop sugar coating it. It was a failed coup. It was a coup to overthrow a government by a orange fascist loser. And that is what a terrorist attack is. It was and always will be a terrorist attack, not an insurrection, not a siege. And because of what it brings up in me, and it makes me want to say things that are true, but people can't really handle the truth these days, I do find it a little bit ironic that the faker you are in 2022, the more liked you are, the more followed you are. And people who keep it real and say the truth are the ones that are normally ostracized, chastised. We become lepers because a lot of people don't want to face the harsh realities of this world. And I completely understand that. You want to make your own world as happy and as positive as you can. And that's why, for me, tomorrow is very, very hard. As I had said, I'm not going to be going on social media. I will not be doing this. I don't trust myself and what I could or could not say. I will be taking care of my 1-year-old son and getting ready to go skiing in Vail on Friday. Now, as I had said on Monday's show, that there's liberation in forgiveness, that there's a letting go. As I said before, a grudge only hurts the person that holds it. And so, there's liberation, there's ease, there's happiness in forgiveness. But I also said that forgiveness is rarely, if not never, easy, and it's sometimes very, very dirty. And it's something that I'm struggling with to this day. As much as my therapist helped, in terms of in terms of my perceptions of family, my perceptions of life, as much as it helped, I still struggle with it to this day. And that truly is, the conundrum of compassion is always a slippery slope. And it's very often, if not always, very treacherous. I talked to my wife this morning about the internal struggle that I'm having with my dad and my mom. And it's never easy to talk about heavy stuff about people that you're related to. Nobody comes into this world thinking, boy, I really hope that my relationships with my parents is very complicated and hard. But if there's any advice that I can offer anybody, including advice for myself, aside from the self-care episode where I fully endorse seeing a therapist, it's extremely useful. It's extremely helpful. It allows you to unpack, if not just to put it down for an hour and feel that weight come off of you. Because as I had said, it's changed and saved my life and made me as happy as I am here today. And I truly hope, after everything that we've seen in this country in terms of how this current form of capitalism is operating, if you're not healthy or happy and healthy, what do you actually have? Because thousands of millions actually of people had their jobs ripped out from underneath them without a second's hesitation. So I look no further than here in the north suburbs of Denver, where the meat and seafood department, where I get all of my my meats and my fish, it's been that part of the department store has been closed now for over a week because people have quit because they don't want to get paid minimum wage. And last time I checked, Kroger's CEO made over $20 million. And it's just, we have so many people in this country that just say that's just how it is. And now because I said that, I'm some kind of a socialist or a communist or a Marxist. And again, I've said this numerous times, the people who are calling me those names can't explain to me the difference between the three. And they're just Fox talking points that make people feel like they know what they're talking about when they actually do not. But in terms of the conundrum that is compassion, it's a very slippery slope where you've kind of been shown the true colors of people over the last 2 years. And so do you forgive them for the transgressions that they've done, not only against you, but also towards your beliefs and your compassion? Because a lot of people think compassion is a weakness, which is just ironically, tragically pathetic and sad. It's something that there is no easy solution for. It's something that there's no easy fix for. It's an extremely challenging thing to give forgiveness sometimes. And I work on it every day. I have to, because I remind myself every day that a grudge only hurts the person that holds it. And when it comes to people, whether they're in-laws or whether they're actual people that are in your family tree, as in life, there is no instruction manual, there's no roadmap for compassion or for forgiveness. I just hope that as we kind of start this new year, and whatever kind of personal journey that you're going through and whatever you're trying to improve or let go of, I hope that it finds you well. I hope that you're finding some semblance of happiness, some semblance of sanity in an otherwise insane world. And so it's tomorrow for me would be way too easy to really go off and kind of completely lose my shit, if you will. And so I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to stay away. And I hope that whatever happens tomorrow, I hope it finds people well, and I hope that there's some sort of way that we can in the United States, where we are anything except united, I hope that you can find something that makes you happy on an otherwise pretty tragic day, and it's always going to be a tragic day in the history of this country. So, that's my I guess secondary approach to self-care in terms of what we talked about this earlier this week. But let's do some lines. So as you saw, I hope you did. As you saw on my post from today, it wasn't a gloat post. It wasn't a gloast. It was meant to kind of shed some light on how truly treacherous and how truly hard that this is. And I understand that there's a lot of you out there that just want action. You just want to have action on certain games. You have an edge. You have a feeling. You want to go with that. Okay. But trust your system and trust in yourself, because I have never used a service. I've never subscribed to anybody who sells their picks. I've sold some of my picks over the years. I have a couple clients. Well, I have more than a couple, but I'm going to go down swinging, and I'm going to go down swinging with my own instinct. That's something that I've always wanted to do. That's something that I've always felt is kind of the way to do it. And as you saw from my picture, I'm still kind of, the picture that I put up on Instagram, I'm still kind of old school in that fact that I write everything down. I come from a time where I would take the sports page out of the USA Today, fold it about 17 times until I just had that one column, that one long skinny column that had all of the matchups and all of the spreads, where I would circle it and cross them out. And as you see on my picture, if you see a small mark next to a team, that's my pick. That's the dot. A circle is a win. A scratch is a loss. And as you saw from last night, hey, they can't all be home runs. If you are going into this with the expectation that you're going to win every single wager that you know so much about sports, that you're going to be able to make wealth in this and turn this into an income stream, hey, I love the confidence, but it's irrational. And I guess that's what sports gambling is, irrational confidence. So I've kind of shied away from the association just because it's been really hard. Aside from Golden State, Cleveland, Oklahoma City, and Memphis as of late, most teams are 500 against the spread, and that makes you want to rip your hair out. For instance, the Detroit Pistons are 7-28 straight up, but they're 17-18 against the spread. So what I'm trying right now, and doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So what I'm doing now, as we're kind of enough into the regular season to kind of know what we're working with here. Again, all of this information is brought to you by Odd Shark. I'm hoping that they call one day to become, so I can, give them a plug and maybe be a sponsor. At this point, I take any sponsorship. Anyway, so if you go to the left of the matchup screen of the game, it shows team records, and one of the headlines, I guess one of the columns you can click is last 10. How have these teams done in their last 10? And so the first game that I'm looking at is Detroit versus Charlotte. Charlotte's doing pretty good. I think they're 6 games above 500 in terms of against the spread. And I'm looking at this game because of this, okay? Detroit is 3-7 in their last 10. Charlotte is 4-6. But 8 games have been on the road, whereas Detroit's been 50-50 home and road. So Charlotte hasn't really had an opportunity yet in the last 10 games to be at home. Overall, they haven't played too many games at home either. They're 9-5 straight up. They are 11-3 though against the spread at home. So I like them at home because Detroit against the spread on the road is a 500 team, and they're also 3-17 straight up in their last 20. They're 2-7 against the spread in their last 9 games against Charlotte. And in fact, the last 10 games that these two teams have played, Charlotte has won all 10. So I'm leaning Charlotte. And also, I just don't like Detroit on the road. Detroit at home is a whole other issue. They're actually not too horrible at home. But I'm going to roll with Charlotte tonight. The spread's right around 10. Try to get it as close to 10. But I'm going to roll with Charlotte here tonight. They're 22-16 against the spread this year. And so I'm going to have them cover here tonight against Detroit. The next game that we're looking at is Houston at Washington. Now, if you've been keeping up with the association, Washington started off really hot. They were a juggernaut against the spread. And they've kind of came down to earth a little bit. But they're still a solid team. And Houston in their last 10 is 1-9 straight up, and they're 1-9 against the spread. They're 0-8 against the spread in their last 8 games. This is a play against Houston. I'm also looking at the over-under in this game, as over the last 10, these two teams combined for 16-4 to the over. Houston cannot stop a nosebleed. It's gone over in 9 out of their last 10 games. And Washington has went over in 5 of their last 6. It's a hefty number. It's at about 230. But with Washington and how Kyle Kuzma is playing and whatnot, it would not surprise me if they touch 130 points. And so they're only going to need a little bit of help from Houston, who can actually score. They're not completely inept on offense. They're averaging about 108. And so I actually think that Washington in the over is a good lean here tonight with that game. The next game that I really want to look at is Philly and Orlando. Now, I know what you're saying. Orlando, wow. Like, they're just, they are who they are. True, but they have actually played the last 10 games against Philly. They've won 4 games, and they're 5-5 against the spread. And so when you have two teams that are pretty much evenly matched, how do you find an edge? Well, in their last 10 on the road, Philly is 4-2 to the over. In Orlando's last 10, they're 4-1 to the over. So that's 8-3 combined to the over. I like the over, actually, in this. I think because of just where they are, I think of who they are and what they have done in their last 10. These two away and home matchups match up really well. Orlando's 5-0 against the spread on the road. They're 0-5 against the spread at home in their last 10. Philly, to me, Philly's 5-5 against the spread over their last 10. So they're squarely on the fence. In fact, the fence has impaled them. So I'm going to lean on the over. I actually see someone's point if you want to go against Orlando, if you want to take a wager against Orlando just because they're 0-5 against the spread, their last 5 at home. If you want to take them simply not to cover, that doesn't mean you're going for Philly. You're going against Orlando. I don't think that's the worst edge either. But I do think over 213, it's a good low number, and I think it will go over. I think that's a really good spot. And speaking of a good spot, let's look at Toronto and Milwaukee, okay? Against the spread, the last 10 games, Toronto's 8-2, Milwaukee's 6-4. So these two teams are on fire. However, Toronto has only played 2 games on the road their last 10, okay? And Toronto's an interesting team. They're 8-1 against the spread in their last 9 games, but all of them were at home. And going to Canada, anybody will tell you, it's a whole other story. I think anybody who is well-read and well-researched on the association will tell you, Toronto, nobody likes going there. It's a hard place to play. And I think it proves it that, over the last 10 games, they've covered 8 of them. Here's another thing. Over the last 10 games, they are 9-1 to the over. And Milwaukee is 6-4 to the over as well. Toronto is on an 8-game tear on the over, where Milwaukee has gone over in 4 of the last 5 games. The over-under right now is about 221. I'm leaning on the over. I'm going with Toronto doing this run on the over. I hope you've cashed in on it a little bit. If you want to go Toronto to cover, right now the spread is 3. I think that stinks like poo, but I do think that these two teams can score, so I'm going to lean on the over. Last game is Utah and the Nuggets, okay? The Jazz have won their last 10 games in Denver. Let that sink in real quick, okay? Utah is tough. They're a really good team. Their last 10 games, they're 7-3 straight up, but they're 2-8 against the spread. They're 0-7 against the spread at home over that span. The other thing too, okay, they're 0-3 to the under on the road. So their defense travels very well. And last time that I'm checking, I'm looking at it right now, over the last 10 games, Denver's been on the road for 7 of them, and they're 2-1 to the over at home. I'm going to go the under here because the last 3 times these two teams have played, it's hit the over. The over-under right now is at 224. I think this is a good spot for the under just because I think Utah is on an under tear. They are certainly holding teams to very low scoring, and it looks like, there's so many people that are questionable. There's so many people that are hurt. There's so many people that are out for each team. I can see how the under would be appealing just because they don't have the normal firepower that these teams are accustomed to. So those are the 5 games in the association. Full disclosure, if you want to fade me on all of them, I'm not offended. The association has been, outside of those 4 teams, and obviously Toronto over the last 10 games, the association has been extremely challenging. I kind of don't even know why I'm trying to do this right now, but hey, let's have some fun. So whatever you do tonight, good luck with your bets. And again, I hope you're trying something new this year. I hope you're trying to find something that makes you happy, as we've spent 2 years in the dumps. And so hopefully I can put a little extra coin in your pocket. Hopefully having a little bit extra action on some games brings you some kind of happiness. So good luck with your bets.